I'm going to preface what I'm about to say by repeating something which I've said on this channel many, many times in the past over several years. And that is that Eddie Hearn rescued British boxing from the dark ages and he brought it into the 21st century. So again, I've given Eddie Hearn all the credit in the world for the work that he's done with the sport and now, of course, taking it international. I give credit where it's due. I'm going to talk about Eddie Hearn's new lineup, his commentary and presentation team on Dazn UK. He promised us an incredible lineup, the best in the business, full of boxing legends and so on. It's been revealed who these people are, and I think to say I'm underwhelmed would be an understatement. Now, let's go through them. First of all, you've got Mike Costello. Now, Mike Costello is not a bad commentator, but boy, is he dull. There's a reason why Mike Costello never had the lead commentary job for Sky and so on, because he doesn't have the type of charisma necessary. Remember, this guy's been in the game for decades, but he's never been, at least not for me, one of the top British boxing commentators. He's never been up there with Jim Watt and Reg Gutteridge. That was a legendary pairing. He's never been up there with Ian Darke and Glenn McCrory. Legendary pairing. Like Fleur D, legendary. He's never been up there with those guys. So yeah, they got a dull lead commentator, and yeah, he knows boxing and he's not terrible, but he's just very, very dull. Then they've got this woman in called Maya Jama. No idea who she is. I quickly YouTubed her. She's some type of TV presenter. I don't think she knows anything about boxing. So, okay, I'm not sure what that's all about. Then they've got this Laura Woods individual. Apparently she comes from a sports presenting and what have you background. Maybe she knows a bit about boxing. I don't know. Don't necessarily have an issue with her being commentator or a presenter for Dazn, but we'll see how she fares. Then you've got Tony Bellew. Bellew obviously was a tremendous warrior as a fighter, and he obviously has very good boxing knowledge. But I think I'm not in the minority when I say that Tony Bellew is okay in small doses. His personality is a bit jarring, and his bias is sometimes so overt that it's almost comical. And of course, when he retired, he said, "You'll never see me again, Cougs. I'm going to be with my wife and kids," and all this kind of business. Well, so much for that. So Tony Bellew, I mean, in small doses, I guess he's all right. Now, Andy Lee is the only person on the lineup, and Eddie Hearn said they're going to expand this lineup. Andy Lee is the only person on the lineup who I look at and say, okay, yes, this is a good addition to any commentary or presentation team. He knows boxing. He's got the right type of personality for it. And look, you don't all have to have the same type of personalities in a presentation or a commentary team. You need different types of personalities, right? And they complement each other. Andy Lee, he's not a brash or colorful character, but he's just a guy who knows what he's talking about and he can articulate it very well. And he's insightful and he's interesting. So Andy Lee, I like that addition to the team. Then you've got Darren Barker and Chris Lloyd. Oh dear. I thought they would have been left back at Sky. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. No, thank you. So that's the lineup so far. Barker, Lloyd, this Laura Woods individual, Maya Jama, Tony Bellew, Mike Costello, and Andy Lee. I mean, again, take Andy Lee out because I do rate him. The rest of them, with all the money that Dazn are making, with all the money that Eddie Hearn is making, surely he could have come up with a better lineup than this, especially after selling his soul recently. How much do you reckon Eddie Hearn sold his soul for? Was it a cheap price? Jeez, people. It kind of reminds me of that scene, the opening scene from the movie Gangs of New York, where Bill the Butcher comes out and says, "Is this it, priest? The Pope's new army? A few crusty bitches and a handful of ragtags?" It kind of reminds me of that. Because if this is game change, that's what it says on the Matchroom Dazn picture, game change. This is a game changer? Is the bar that low? Come on, people. If you want to put together a proper commentary team, Paulie Malignaggi's got to be in there. Paulie Malignaggi is a proper commentator. Not only is he a colourful personality, but he knows the game and he's not about all that bias. This guy's going to call it as it is straight down the line. I don't always agree with Paulie Malignaggi, but he says things as he sees it and as he believes it. He's not going to just toady company line and praise the house fighter. Yeah, he's not going to do that, Paulie Malignaggi. So he needs to be on the commentary team. I'd also like to see David Haye on the team. I know David Haye, well, he bounces between different networks and he does a lot of work with BT currently. But I think David Haye would be a good addition. I know he is controversial in the sense that a lot of people think he's a dishonest person. And he certainly was during his boxing career. But he's a colourful character. He knows the sport. And to me, he always adds some interesting flavour to the equation. And then you've got Karl Fruch. I'd like to see him as part of the Dazn team as well. Again, Fruch gets accused of bias, or he did when he was at Sky, here and there. But other times he would go against the grain and go against the house fighter. And again, Karl Fruch is a character. I was highly critical of him during his boxing career, but I give credit where it's due. And for me, as a commentator, as a personality, Karl Fruch is a guy who will say what's on his mind. And yeah, he can be a bit of a troll sometimes, but that adds a bit of fun. We need some fun. We don't need everybody to either be happy-go-lucky, inoffensive, or dull as dishwater. We need people who are a little bit edgy, like your David Hayes, like your Karl Fruches, like your Paulie Malignaggi's. And of course, Paulie Malignaggi is universally, I would say, accepted among the hardcores as a very good boxing commentator. You find very, very few people who say that Paulie Malignaggi is not good. So maybe it's because the three guys I've just mentioned are a bit too edgy in the ultra PC modern world. I don't know. If it is that, I mean, what a sad time to be alive. They only want plastic people these days, as John Fury calls them. If they're going to bring in talent, bring in some talent that knows something about boxing. They're bringing in this Maya Jama individual who, I think Eddie Hearn even said himself, doesn't come from a boxing background, doesn't know that much about boxing. Why are you bringing in people that don't know nothing about boxing? If you want to bring in an individual who knows something about boxing, bring in Chris Andre. Like, seriously, if you're looking for actual talent that know about boxing, that are good in front of camera, that can articulate themselves very well, Chris Andre, and there are many other talented people out there that you could get in that actually come from a boxing background. To give it to somebody that really doesn't know much about the sport, I mean, her presentation ability is going to have to be incredible to make up for the fact that she doesn't really know anything about boxing. Seriously, that's my take on it. So give me your take in the comments below about this new lineup, this presentation team. Are you like me, underwhelmed by this? It's not often I use this word, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. This commentary presentation lineup for the Dazn is trash. That's what it is. It's straight trash. You got Andy Lee, who I rate. Tony Belly, who's okay in small doses. The rest of them, do me a favor. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'm out.